What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Today we're going to talk about feeling results. Now, what I mean by feeling results is you can typically feel when you're losing fat. Not so much when you're gaining muscle. There's been times where I thought, I said, man, I feel like I'm really pumped. I feel thick. I feel bigger. And I get on the scale and I haven't gained a single pound. But 99% of the time, when you feel skinny, you feel flat, there's different ways to describe the feeling of what you're feeling, but you're feeling something and you get on the scale and it just proves that you have in fact lost weight. Now, here's the thing. I'm not really sure whether or not you can feel yourself losing fat, but you can feel yourself losing weight. Now, what's the difference between losing fat and losing weight? Well, you can lose weight. It can be water, it can be muscle, it can be a combination of water, muscle, and fat. Or you can lose fat, which should be just fat, which actually feels differently. Now, when you lose water weight, and I'm not talking about just water between the skin, but if you're on a heavy carbohydrate-laden diet, the body needs water to store those carbohydrates as well as sodium. Now, as you start to clean up your diet and start to cut out some of the junk food, the processed food, your carbs are not 500 anymore, they're down to like 250 or whatever it is, you notice all of a sudden you wind up peeing a lot more and you wind up losing weight. The scale keeps going down. You're looking in the mirror and you feel it, but you're not really seeing a whole lot yet, other than the fact that everything is just shrinking up but kind of looking the same. That's the water loss. That typically happens in about the first week to maybe some people about a week and a half when they first start a diet. After that, at that point, your body will start to hopefully be more efficient at burning fat. That's what they're trying to get at. You're trying to get the body to burn fat efficiently so you can lose fat, not just weight in general. Now, a lot of people seem to think that after that week and a half, they've hit a plateau and they don't feel like they're losing any more weight because they don't feel it. And then, matter of the fact, when they look on the scale tells them that they're not losing any more weight because they've lost that initial water weight, and now the body has to learn how to burn fat efficiently, which is not really easy for it to do. It does take a couple of weeks for it to do, just like when you come out of a competition and your metabolism is really fast and you've gotten really lean, you don't feel fat. You feel bloated, but you don't feel fat because you're not actually gaining fat. If you keep eating like shit for a couple of weeks, you're going to notice you can feel bloated for a couple of weeks, but then you start to feel fat. And it's a fucked up kind of, description because, a lot of people have a hard time differentiating between bloat and fat. There's times where I'll eat and I'll be like, oh my God, I feel so fucking bloated because I know I'm not gaining fat. I haven't gained fat from the meal I just ate. I'm bloated. The food's pushing on my stomach. I probably eat so much it's pushing on my fucking lungs and I can't breathe right. But the fact is you're not gaining fat. It usually takes a good amount of time for your body to gain fat after you've eaten. Like, you can't just eat for one day and gain a bunch of fat. Otherwise, all these people doing these high carb, high calorie refeeds, which myself I've done, I've done upwards of about 8,000 calories a day for me, which is a lot. And usually I'm leaner the next day. You can usually get a metabolism spike and I'm leaner. And I feel leaner. I can feel it. When I go to bed after one of those high calorie days, I feel bloated. I don't feel fat, I feel bloated. When I get up in the morning, I feel thin, which is completely different than feeling fat. There's no way you're going to go from feeling fat to thin overnight, but you can go from bloated to thin overnight when you start to piss out all that water throughout the night and you get up like 5 times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. You wake up in the morning and you feel flat, you feel thin. And if you weighed yourself, it's an interesting part, if you weighed yourself on the scale before you went to bed, even if you ate like 5 or 6 pounds of food throughout the day, you're probably going to get on the scale the next day after you feel thin and weigh less than you did before you even started eating the junk food. Metabolic momentum kicks in, thermic effect of food, the body's metabolism increases, and you do wind up losing weight. But you feel it. Like, you start to feel it either way. And I think that a lot of diets actually seem to fail from the data that I've gathered myself through dieting and helping people throughout the years, and including myself. When I started diet, my big thing was there was no transition back in the day. I would just jump from my off-season right into my pre-contest diet. Sunday, I'd eaten fucking 6,000, 7,000 calories, and I jumped to 2,500 on Monday. And my body would, essentially lose that water weight and then quote-unquote plateau. And I couldn't really feel one way or the other what was going on after that initial water weight loss. And I think that initially, after people feel that weight loss from the water, they want to feel that same thing all the time, and it doesn't happen right away. Now, as you get further along in your diet, you do get up in the morning sometimes, and fat-wise, you feel leaner. You feel more muscular. You feel harder. You feel tighter. That does happen. So these kind of, I always ask people, how they feel. Like, if when they hit me up and they're checking in with their weekly check-in with one of my clients, they'll say, this is what's going on, that's going on. I'll say, how do you feel? Do you feel thin? Do you feel fat? Do you feel bloated? And when I really stop and think about it, it actually is biofeedback they're giving back to me. Because they can say, I'm stronger in the gym, my clothes are fitting a certain way, but I feel bloated. Okay, so why do you feel bloated? I don't know, I get up in the morning and I'm fine, and after my first meal I feel bloated. Okay, something in that first meal is bloating your stomach. You're not digesting it well. So right off the bat, we understand, by determining how you feel and what you feel, can determine what step you take next in your program, in which direction to go in. It's just a matter of knowing what you're feeling, or real stop and think and kind of trying to describe what you're feeling. Like, there's only 3 ways that I found that really describes it well: bloated, fat, or thin. That's it. Lean comes later on in the diet, and you can actually see when you're lean. You don't have to describe it. You can see it. So, hope this was informative. So remember, always think about what you're feeling, because your body's trying to tell you something all the time. BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostrength.com is the site. The BioS3 Feel and Bicep, and we're out.